Yeah, hello. I have to admit something. I'm probably not the ideal person to stand here in front of you and speak to you about Icelandic forestry. Normally, people in forestry business are quite shy. They would like to be with themselves or the local, not as a big audience like now. And they are usually quite shy, inward, so to speak, or not out front. And I think I am part of that group. So I'm usually more comfortable in the woods than in the States. But we'll see how it goes. It's good to start with compare the nations Iceland and Poland, since we're situated here. I can't get rid of my face there. Anyway, Iceland is Poland is 3 times bigger than Iceland, meaning and the coastline along Poland is much smaller than Iceland, since it's an island, of course. And the population is 400,000, and a little bit more in Poland, almost 40 million. And there's much more comparable to Iceland, because recently we had this Eurovision contest, and our nations have never won this great competition, but I think we like it. We like to join it, and it's a freak show in a way. At least I think so. And there's one other thing that combines us quite well. Yeah, it's a chocolate, Prince Polo. We have been chewing it for many years, decades. And the third thing that might be common to explain is our neighbors in where I'm working, Icelandic Forest Association. Our neighbors, they are Polish embassy. As you can see here, these are the entrances to our offices, and the flag of the building. This is more or less Polish embassy in Iceland. Okay, Iceland, the land of ice and fire. Woodland in Iceland is supposed to be 2%. You heard right, 2%. I think there's only one republic or something in Europe. This has less vegetation, and that is Vatican in Rome. And if you look at these 2% that we have been calculating, the 1% is only reforested area that is newly planted, or so to speak, in less than 100 years. That's nothing in forestry perspective. And 0.6, it is imported species, which are not shrub species. They are supposed to be producing wood or good carbon sequestration materials. Come back to that later. Meaning that that cover we have, it's about 2%, a little less than that. That's more or less downy birch. And if you compare this definition of forest, then we have canopy over more than 10%, spacing more than 1.5 hectare, and tree heights in the European scale is 5 meters and 2 meters in Icelandic. So we are lacking a little bit evidences of our proof of 2% forest, so to speak. It depends on definition. Part 1, the history, before all started. Without vegetation, would the settlers have been interested on dwelling here? What do you reckon? Black beaches, Yeah, could be interesting. Or there's no Mallorca, Tenerife. Uh, there's evidence of fossil that can be found in oldest parts of Iceland. For instance, in this canyon, Surtarbrandsgil in western fjords, there you can find remnants of fossil, of charcoal. That evidence says that here we can find magnolian leaf, beech, and maple, and then the big giant of all, sequoia. It has been found here in the book of nature, where they have been where you can find evidence or proof, and it was around the dinosaurs. I think they have been there without cameras, of course, and they don't have any proof of they have been there. I don't know if I wasn't there, but I'm not sure of if it was before or after dinosaurs, but it doesn't matter. It was a long time ago, and long before the settlers came here. And now we come to a little puppy cartoon. We call it the Puppy Island. It's Iceland, of course. When the settlers came here with the Icelandic dog, horse and cows and sheep. Look, mummy, I want to live there. Island covered in vegetation. And the settlers, they decided to stay here around 800 or so. They were fugitives from Norway, they say, from Haraldur Harfagri, and they came here and they just dwelled here and have been here ever since. Yeah. There is a plenty for everybody to chew on. Good leaves, good birds. And the only mammals who were stayed here before the settlers came, there was mouse and fox. And they have in good harmony been living here in Iceland. Yeah. Of course we have some birds here too, like goose and stuff, but they can fly. Most mammals can't fly except bats. Of course. The winters here are harsh. Good we have enough firewood, the puppy says. Then he's referring to that in their torf houses. Yeah, we built our houses of torf more or less. We didn't have any infrastructure of wood inside them, so to speak. Only a little bit. but more or less the building materials was turf and maybe a little rocks. And the human took toll of the nature. It wasn't sustainable society. Of course, we lived in a harsh environment, but we grazed all year round. The sheep didn't, or the cows or the cattle or whatever, they didn't have any to chew on, so they just destroyed all the vegetation which was standing. By that saying that we have the sheep that helped us, because the sheep they offered us wool, meat and milk, and they were self-sufficient a little bit, more like the cow that needed to be served. And what happened is it wasn't like this before. It was the year 1900. The dream, the stubborn people, Icelanders. Agnar Kofod Hansen, he was an entrepreneur here in Iceland, coming from Denmark, and we have so great influences from Denmark. Not only the great cakes that we still eat. I mean, every grocery from the bakery is coming from Denmark, more or less. But we also have their thanks for the forestry ideas. And Agnar Kofod Hansen, he was the first forest officer in Iceland. He was giving a good impression on people. So 3 or 4, soon after he was here, 4 students went to Denmark to study forestry. And those fellas have been influencing more and more into this agenda. When I was studying my thesis, I was making a recreational forest in the east part of Iceland. Eidar it's called, resident. It's formerly as a school, a public school, and there is a principal skating on the ice in 1950. Þórarinn. Good fella, happy fella. He knows his work. He knows his spin. And when we take the spin to the future, at least to the modern days, we can see he was enthusiastic of planting, having kids to plant after each winter, after each seminar. So today, in really harsh conditions, people didn't think that nothing could grow there. Nothing could grow there until he planted these trees. And that was evidence we could plant trees more places than we expected. You know, all that time we were skeptic about where plants could grow. These little plants, we put them into the unnatured area, but they can still grow. Take a little time, but it can grow. Every person had been skeptic, meaning that we also could plant on the top of a glaciers. No one have tried it, I think. Maybe this is something, but I don't think that will work. But compared to the 4 months, here is another example. Volunteers working in Hafnarfjörður. Volunteers. That was more or less the driving, the power. And people wanted to have forests. It was possible. And they planted these. This is almost a century later. Almost. Yeah. Their descendants were in the area, and you can see that have changed. I noticed this is not the people who were planting. These are the kids. There's another place. You can see the little hut there in the middle of the pictures, most of them, and it's supposed to be in the middle of the picture on the right and below. The little hut have been, growing a bit, the forest around it. I think this picture is quite funny. There you can see 3 gentlemen in all ages. They have just been planting, I guess, but concerning their dresses, they plant quite decent. And this area, which have been changing over the years, is like this today. This is power. This is a remarkable proof of work. Hvalir af vatn. Another great picture from the past. This is so good picture. You see the 3 amigos in the corner. These guys are around 80 today. 80 years old, around that, probably a little older. These are the hard-working fellas that have been making the forest in Hafnarfjörður. We can't complain. Good workers, not slavery, not child in slavery. I don't know, I wasn't there. I wanted to have this picture to show you the possibilities that I mentioned. People didn't want to plant everywhere because they didn't expect these little plants would grow everywhere. I have that feeling that we could, if we wanted to, grow a little bit up to the hills in this little valley, instead of having it just in the center of it, where it's obviously most humid and most sheltered and best conditions for growing. 3 pictures of the same plot. You can see this is the first picture, 1990. We have in 10 years benefit, 10 years growing and 20 years growing. We can do it. And now we're going to follow the success of falling over and over and failing over and over. This is something that we are used to here. We have to try to plant in really harsh conditions, and this is probably one accelerated example. You know, it's in the north. It's in the north of Iceland. Yeah, you heard me. And it's not only in the north. It's 300 or 400 meters height above sea level. This is a desert. This is a desert, and close to Mývatn. Mývatn is a full area which is full of life and full of flies. And you know, in this particular area, I was once helping planting trees there. Yeah, trees. And in the lupin, which is a really good equipment to use in this unfertile soil. And it happens to have many flies there too. So it's getting there. It's getting there. In 50 years, it will be something totally different from this area than it is today. And you've seen inside the lupin, we have birds. We have little birds. They're nesting there. Inside the lupin, we have even seen rowan and berries that birds have taken with them. And you can see we've been planting birds, and larks in the center of the sand, and by tendering them or something like that, they are growing. This is giving us hope. The stubborn people of Iceland. Yeah, see it. There's nothing wrong with it. I have to take a new picture of it. I think it's 10 years old or something. Yeah, it's fantastic. Good work, soil conservation and forestry. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the five main species that I've been planting over the last decades. And we've been selecting good species that work for us and provenances that's quite work as well. Start with the larch, because larch is one of two that works really well in really harsh conditions with no fertile soil, just in the gravel more or less. It works in a gravel, especially in the east and the north of the country, where the snow is more and the snow is higher, and humidity is not as high as in the south. And it's also colder in the winter and usually warmer than in the summer. So it doesn't work as well in the south and the west. These larch, the Siberian larch, of course, we have a European larch, Tessitua. That's quite they can be tolerate better. And I have to tell you one little secret about larch. Hlynur. That is a new, maybe not species. It's a provenance. It's been they've been making it here in Iceland, making it out of mother plant is European larch and father is Siberian larch, and it's growing 3 times faster than regular larch. And now this what you're seeing here is Hlynur, which is really famous and old large stand. This is the first stand which we've been maintained really well, and this has been they were decided to have it to stand, but usually there will be right time for felling it for wood production. This is something to. This is the best species for that situation. Another species that we have for and next is a spruce. This is my favorite tree in Iceland. I would think this is my favorite tree. This is the biggest species that we are growing here, except for Douglas, but which is quite growing rapidly. We have been using it for a long time, and which this tree was actually you're watching now in this picture. This is the tallest tree in Iceland. For less than about 5 years ago, it took the barrier of 30 meters height, so it's probably 32 or something today. First time in Iceland, my lifetime at least, we have 30 meters tall tree. As you can see, it's in a bit shelter of the cliff over there in Kirkjubæjarklaustur, close to Systrafoss or a waterfall of the Sisters. Also, this spruce, this is remarkable spruce. We dominated this spruce as the tree of the year, 2025, the tree of the year, because it's been standing in this cliff. It's an island, just a rocky island in the middle of the harsh, in a stream, really watery river in Selfoss. But nota bene, Polish people are around 11,000 in Iceland, and this town is around 11,000 inhabitants. So this could be a Polish town. Just to say. Anyway, this Selfoss, it's a town named, has this remarkable tree, almost 10 meters. It's 960, I remember, and it's about 50-60 years old. They were measuring it, and when we were we're celebrating this fall. Yeah, this is something. Can see it as a landmark in the area. Really good landmark. We can be proud of this spruce. Spruce is a strong tree. It can be a good timber of it. Yeah. Now it's the black and cottonwood. We have been using black cottonwood in the best areas, which are fertile and humid ground. And this is not the typical area we'd be using for soil conservation or something like that, because it grows not in that conditions, but it grows quite well. It's quite fast. These trees can be up to 30 years old, and then when you just fell them, because they don't have to be much taller, and they just rotten inside if they get much taller or older. And we have every stand now and there everywhere in Iceland in this size, and this is also a really good tree. We can use it as a timber. We should do it more of it, but we have this common of using the spruce and silver, the sylvestris, pine sylvestris. We have a little bit of that also. Now back to the birds, downy birds. Usually we don't consider this as a productive tree species. It isn't. It is a shrub. But we have been planting it as the best provenances from native mother and father that we can have, and we've been planting them all over. So it's possible that downy birds have been. We can make it into a more quality when the time goes by. This, on the other hand, Thorsmörk. This is a remarkable place. You have to come there. You can. This is probably only place in Iceland where you can get lost in a birch forest. Yeah, you notice this? You can get lost in Icelandic forest, and even a birch forest. It's been about a century ago. It was fenced. No sheep were allowed there, and now this is a really touristy area, and there are paths all over and to the tops of the mountains. This is something you have to be there, have to come there. You can't express this by pictures only. Yeah, but yeah, I'm saving my words now. It's breathtaking. It's just breathtaking. It's like Jurassic Park in a sense. And look, now we're gonna stop in the dramatic thing and to the business. In Iceland, 100,000 square kilometers. We have estimated about a little less than a half, maybe 2/3 of the country are under 400 meters of sea level, the height of from the sea. And usually we are not planting. We could do planting more higher, but we don't have to. Also, if we plant up to the mountains, they're not gonna thrive so well. But they can still be helping the vegetation. So these species, we can use the area below of 4 million hectares. So we should have enough land to have forestry in this 2% land cover and forest cover. We have plenty of space yet to be technically sustainable. We need to have a good quality forest in some amount, but of course good quality forest demands to have a good quality 1 hectare. You have to have 10 hectares of forest or something like that. Depends. A forest. For whom? For what? When? Where? Why? Of course we know this. This is about sustainability. The sustainability of production, wood production, of soil conservation, have a good soil, have the biodiversity. We have to have the human involved, recreational area. These 3 are the main factors in sustainability, but they are complicated. They mix everything up, so people don't often relate to it. Also, in Iceland, we have this eruption called volcanoes every now and then. Recently, just in 5 years of period or so, we almost have in every year, maybe 2 times in a year, a volcanic eruption close to the Keflavik airport, the international airport. Also, there's another dilemma. It's called reindeers in the east. Reindeers, yeah. The Christmas, Santa Claus having these from Finland, I assume. and they are. We welcome them, of course. They are part of our nature, at least now. Like the trees that we've been using. Usually, people are afraid of it. People are afraid of the tortapine would get spread all over, and we will not have any control of this. But we're controlling the reindeers, and speaking of self-sufficiency, we need to have good quality wood. In this case, we have a larch stamp of larch, which may be in good quality. I'm not sure that when I'm looking at it, and this is really important. And today, today, we are establishing. We have been building maybe in 1 decade or so. From the what do you call it? Timber works, logs. When you're producing the timber, we have been usually just using it cover as a shelter, but we haven't used it as a infrastructure in house until recently. We discovered that we don't need to have all these licenses that everybody is killing us with. We just use it by our own. We have to use our mind. We have to be wise, and by that, we have the possibility of using it for housing, for infrastructure in house. I mean, and actually, there is a little town developing in eastern side of the country called Hamburg. Yeah, Hamburg. And they have been planning this estate, Fljótsdalur municipality, to build their first houses there only from Icelandic materials. And this is a great news. This is a huge news for the Icelandic forestry. Yeah, now come to the complexity of how stakeholders are mapped in Iceland over the years. You can see these two. They are from the states. They are supposed to be taking care of the land as a land conservation, soil conservation, and the forest. This is where I'm working today. Icelandic Forest Association, regional. We are having all kinds of smaller estates all around the country are close to. It's like a forest to the town. Yeah, and this have been this is out of for the state again. They've been planting for forest farmers, and these is the forest farmers. They have been developing later on. It started around 1990 to 2000 or so. These are the educational institutions. These are the productive productive people. There are more, but these are just examples. Nurseries and other stakeholders, and these are the one who are producing us the wood, the chainsaws and stuff. And these have recently emerged, Land og Skóg, and these are the carbon sequestration marks. They're just coming up like recently. These might be the potentials in the future of forestry in Iceland. Just a matter of ignorance, moral to say. Maybe not ignorance. Maybe that's not wise to say ignorance. People are afraid of richer people getting richer. This is it could be like this because they're taking land and using the land to make forest, and they cannot use it for anything else unless after 50 years or so. People are afraid of that. The municipality, people are afraid of it. I'm going to emphasize on these three big stakeholders. Icelandic Farmers Association, I was working there for about 10 years ago. I was working there last time. Land and Skóg, which was the former Forest Service. I was working there too also, and Icelandic Forest Service. But let's start with forest farmers. I'm going to read now. Landssamtök skógareigenda, Icelandic Forest Farmers Association, was founded in 1997 during the period of rapid growth in forestry among Iceland landowners and farmers. The association served as an umbrella organization of 5 regional forestry associations and gave forest farmers a shared platform and voice. Its members cultivated timber forest, shelter belts, and agroforestry system on their own land. Beyond advocacy, their organization became an important social and educational network where farmers exchanged experiences and helped establish forestry as a recognized part of Icelandic agriculture. Every other week, farmers publish the newspaper Bændablaðið, and full of educational and new and of farming and new also forestry are, by the way. It's a free paper, which is the most commonly read paper in the country. Later, the association merged with Bændasamtök Íslands as a forest division for forest farmers. The change altered the character of the movement and led to a noticed decline in the... I'm not going to talk about more of that. Now back to the land and skógur. I'm going to read again. Land og skógur, land and forest, was established 2024, though through the merge of Landgræðslan, Soil Conservation Service, and Skógræktin, Forest Service. The new instruction was created to bring forestry, soil conservation, ecosystem restoration, and sustainable land use together under the single governmental body. Under new legislation, the agency is responsible for ecosystem restoration, forestry development, and blah blah blah. As a new merged institution with broad responsibilities, Land and Forest of Iceland is still evolving. Supporters see the merge as a step towards stronger coordination and in environmental policy, while critics worry that local connection and specialized knowledge could become weak within a large advantage structure regardless. And again, agency now plays a central role in Icelandic forest and land restoration policy. And now it's where I'm working for Icelandic Forest Association. It was founded in 1930, 1930, by volunteers, just volunteers, at Þingvellir. It's was during Alþingi Millennium Festival and has become one of the Iceland most important grassroots environmental organization. It emerged at a time when deforestation and land degradation was widespread, with the aim of promoting forestry, restoring vegetation, and encouraging public participation in land restoration. For decades, the organization was strongly shaped by a commonly driven and volunteer spirit similar to the Icelandic Youth Association movement. Local forestry societies were established through the country, bringing together farmers, teachers, families, and volunteers for tree planting, education, and the development of outdoor recreational areas. From the beginning, The association maintained close ties to the Nordic countries, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, with seats and knowledge, and Finland. And now, Nordic cooperation is remaining as an important part of the Icelandic forestry development. The association has led to supported projects such as Friendship Forest, Open Forest, Live in the Grove, and the publication of Skógræktarritið, which is Iceland's long-standing forest journal. Today, it's continues serving as an important bridge between the public volunteer organization and forest in Iceland. Today, challenges. How will we develop this? What's the next step in our journey in the forestry in Iceland? It's similar in a sense to what's happening in Scandinavia and broader into Europe. Carbon sequestration market, have you heard of that? That is coming to Iceland and with a huge impact. Is it positive and negative? Can we adapt it like it works for everybody? Is it the new fashion? Forestry fashion. And forest maintenance. We're lacking forest maintenance a lot. And what is forest maintenance? It means that we have to take care of the forest like it works for the people too, not only for the wood and that thing, but also for people. And we also need to guide people to the forest. Maybe not the Polish, but the Polish people, they are guiding the Icelanders to use the forest as for mushrooms and stuff, and other nations who will live here in Iceland, which is really good, thriving here, that people from all the international leads here is doing a really good job here. So implementing social activity, leisure and educational platform. But first and foremost, education authorities of importance of forestry.